Okay, first of all, what we're going to do, we find the computing readers who were sort of facing these issues. They always like to hear from their peers at other organisations, like to hear what their fears were, what their problems were, how they addressed them, how they went about solving them. So I'm going to put the three customers on the spot, if I may, starting with Joe, who kindly volunteered under pressure from me to go first. Can you just give us a quick idea of what De Vere Group has done in terms of its cloud implementation?
Sure. Well, just to give you an idea, I mean, the De Vere Group, we've got 65 hotel and conference properties spread across the UK. And I guess we were early adopters, really, of the whole sort of cloud philosophy. Sort of 6-7 years ago, we started down the route of centralising everything. Adopting Citrix as a platform, centralising it into our data centre, which was ours at the time, and which is sort of a pretty scary step at that stage because at the hotel they had absolutely no systems or applications at all. They were accessing it all via Citrix, and it's a 24/7 business. So we addressed really the reliability of network links at that stage. So we're fairly confident from then to sort of step into the whole cloud sphere. And currently we've already moved all of our web platform and our web booking engines, which is a key revenue driving area for the hospitality and hotel business. I'm sure you've all booked a bedroom online. Those are already out in a cloud which actually Claranet manage for us. We've also got all of our property management systems are hosted with a supplier, and they're actually out in Frankfurt in a purpose-built data centre out there. And then we've also got a number of other back office and system applications in an off-site data centre as well. So we don't actually have any of our systems on our own properties. The back office are the last to go. The back office are the only ones that we physically, I have guys there and then can put their hand out and touch the servers, but they all sit on the same network, and we are just in the process of taking that final step and looking at proposals to take that back office and put that into the cloud as well, because I personally feel our network links are reliable because we have experience of them having been so for a number of years now.
Yeah, okay. A quick question: when you first introduced reliability into those network links, I mean, how did you do that? Was that simply refreshing the routers and the switches? I mean, was it some sort of
no? We actually the De Vere Group, as it is today, is an amalgamation of a number of acquisitions. So at the starting point, we had a number of different network providers, various size and scale wide area networks in place. And one of the first things we did was put in a new wide area network across the board on a single platform with sort of the MPLS and the sort of the cloud, our sort of own private cloud in terms of network at that very early stage. And we addressed basically, we looked at for every property, we have a sort of an MPLS link backed up by sort of originally it was sort of ADSL, they're going into SDSL now and so forth and so on. So if the main network link went down, the property still had connectivity. And we've done the same to all of our data centres as well. We've got sort of a lot of robust latency in there with a number of different network links in. So if you lose one, it kicks over to the other.
Okay. All right, thanks, Joe. I'll come to Doug now. If you can just give us a quick overview of what you've done in terms of on-premise versus off-premise and why you did it.
So the Berkeley Group Holdings Company is the parent company for Berkeley Homes, St George, St James and a number of other companies. We're an urban regenerator, residential and commercial house builder, based mostly now in the southeast of England. We've got some 153 sites, which range from 80-person regional offices down to 50 people build sites, down to 1 to 5 people marketing suites. And a typical build period for us now is anything between 5 and 25 years. Back in about 2003, we were looking at some of the issues of hosting an ever-increasing network on a frame relay that was based in Cobham, which was the group headquarters and which is Telecom's Death Valley. So we struck up a relationship with an organisation and we moved the whole of our network into Colo, which was split across 2 data centres in London and linked via private fibre. That initially was across 15 cabinets because each of the business units wanted to have autonomy within a group platform. Over the years, that footprint has been reduced via consolidation with new equipments which have a smaller footprint and with a lot of virtualisation. Our platform is now some 90% virtualised. We've recently moved suppliers, and we've now come over to Claranet, who are providing an aggregated MPLS network, and we have another third party who's providing the tails management. But what we're looking to do now is to continue that consolidation model, because as a construction company, really we're not interested about whether we've got MPLS routers or C7000 blade servers. We just want to provide a service. So we want to have that ability to flex both up and down with the business, and to turn around to a provider and say, right, I've got 300 more people now than I had 2 months ago, and in 2 months' time I want you to be able to provide these services to these people. And that's what I'm investigating now, whilst ensuring that we maintain that availability, reliability, non-repudiation, accessibility and customisation that you get from your own private network, and at the end of the day somebody to go and kick if it goes wrong.
Okay, thanks very much, Doug. We'll come to Nathan now. Can you just give us a quick overview of what you've been up to?
Yeah, sure. I'll describe HomeServe's approach to the cloud as being taking fairly baby steps. So we've been implementing software as a service now for a couple of years. Salesforce.com, both the Salesforce automation and the CRM side of it. We take some, you could call them security services in the cloud from Message Labs via BT, so web proxy and those kind of things. And we're looking now at moving some of our HRMS systems into a pure kind of software as a service type of situation. And the reason we took those decisions a couple of years ago were, it was actually more to do with speed of access and agility in terms of getting those applications online than anything specifically to do with cost models or hosting. Since then we've been, I'd describe our kind of on-premise solution as being heading towards a private cloud type of architecture, but obviously not a private cloud yet. So everything, as Doug said here, is virtualised more or less. And we've moved to a very, very standardised 2 data centre model. But it's now in a state where you could begin to move it to a private cloud type of operation, and that's something we're beginning to investigate, but more from a cost and control perspective than from an availability type of perspective. We also do a number of things around their web services more than anything else, I guess. Things like data cache, Sendex, where we, for example, do all of our credit card payments via a web services provider. And I think the challenge there is similar to any kind of cloud-based solution, in that you've got to have highly reliable and highly kind of low latency connections to get to those services. And I think when we first implemented software as a service, we didn't think much about the network. It was accessed over the public internet. We've got fairly resilient links to the internet from our sites, but we didn't do anything specifically about looking at what would happen if the public internet failed, or if the software as a service provider didn't have end-to-end SLAs at their end. So we had a number of issues with downtime, with latency and so on and so forth, and we're only just beginning to solve those by looking to introduce things like packet shaping and low latency bandwidth control type of solutions. But I think where we're at now is just learning about how to manage these things better, and how to manage it from an end-to-end perspective, because I think that's the challenge. It's not just about the connection from your site to the provider, it's about all of the intervening links between them.
Okay, all right, thanks for that. I mean, a network outage for you, Nathan, is going to have major repercussions for your business. Now, you talked about some of the technology you're in there to prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
Are you currently working with multiple cloud providers? Have you got all your eggs in one basket? I mean,
no, not really. I mean, I think the most mission critical services we have are on premise still,
right.
And therefore we're able to build into that the architecture and the services that we need to provide the availability required. But from a software as a service perspective, it's multiple. And I think that spawned from the fact that there wasn't really a cloud strategy to start with. It was piecemeal or ad hoc type of opportunities. And that does present you with some challenges, because you haven't got a back-to-back SLA with each one of those providers. And I think as cloud services become more mature, that's exactly what we're going to be looking to achieve.
Okay.